Thank Crunchy, it's the weekend, eh? So I thought it's time for a feature length video. Not done a marathon one for a while, just putting some water out for the goats. And today's video has been shot over 2 days. It's not that that's what it warranted, it's just that yesterday when I recorded the first day, I forgot a load of stuff. So it's going to be mainly what I recorded yesterday, interspersed with a few bits that have popped in my noggin overnight and this morning, and I've included dotted throughout the video. So get yourself comfy, and I'm looking for quite a bit of interaction from you guys. I want to pick your brains on what you reckon, and it's mainly about the fishing lake and developing that. So any of you that are in Thailand and you like your fishing, I'm looking for your input. Any of you guys that are into farming livestock, you know, we've got problems with the goats, obviously, housing, and the goat island flooding. So yeah, we're looking for a bit of input from you guys. Okay, to kick things off, this bit, which is the lowest bit on the top road round the lake, this is the bit that flooded by about 2 foot of water. Someone said, why don't you just put a drain pipe in here to take off the excess water? Well, there's no way of doing that, because the water is higher outside of our land before it gets here, so there's nowhere to drain it off. The only time you could drain it off is like now, where the lake is now higher than over here. But to be quite honest, I don't mind the lake being this full. The fish love it for finding food and for spawning. Now what I was thinking is to put a pipe system in here, or say a pipe system, just a pipe running underneath the road with a swivel pipe on the lakeside. So if we put a swivel pipe system on it, it'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. One, that when we get flood water that side, we can turn the swivel this side and drain into here, or siphon the water off into here. Otherwise we can leave the swivel pipe facing upwards. So when we say a swivel pipe, it's just, you know, you've got the main pipe coming underneath there and a bit like that, and we set that bit at the height that you want, the maximum height of your water in here. So if the water's a little bit too high, say it's another 2 foot in here and it doesn't give us much leeway if we're going to have a downpour, then we can just reposition the swivel pipe and we can drain it off there. The second bit which I want to cover, which I missed yesterday, is the access road. So the access road needs building up anyway, but that's where the flood water has been coming in, and that's where, regardless of what we're having done in the future, Macro Man is going to have to build that bit up there. Where I'm on about is where the blue net goes across there. The goats are out for a little bit today. We did have a lot of rain last night, but it's dry now, so trying to get them full. Constant battle with these. It's a real full-time job with the goats now. It took up lots of time anyway, but it is now. Okay, so this bit needs to be built up the same height as the sides here. I think they're the only bits that I missed off yesterday. So I hope you enjoy the main part of the video, guys. Maybe pause it for a second, stick the kettle on, get your hobnobs out, and get yourself comfy. A few of you guys have been asking what's the situation with the water level on the fishing lake. So I thought, as we've got a bit of a break in the weather, because we are getting quite some heavy downpours, we'll get out there and we'll show you. Just want to show you the ponds here first, round near the house, because the water levels on here have dropped significantly. Starting off with the crayfish pond. It's a bit of a state at the minute. I've just been strimming it and letting everything drop into the water. The crayfish eat that, so do the snails. Onto the Mekong and the Siamese pond here. I would say it's dropped about 2.5 foot. It was a lot clearer than this, but I trimmed this a few days ago, so it's coloured the water up a bit, which is good because the cormorant's been back. I think everything in here that we want to keep for the lake is too big for the cormorants now, but they can obviously pick the smaller stuff off. There's a couple of little snakehead that got into there when we had the floods, but they won't cause any concerns for the big head, the Siamese or the Mekongs. They're way bigger than them now. They'll never catch them up. tilapia wires in here. I've counted 10 big ones left in here. There's a lot of climbing perch that I've got in here. Seen some small snakehead, and these are just the common snakehead, not the giant snakehead species. So yeah, it's a bit of a luxury, this pond at the minute. There's nothing really outstanding in here, so that needs draining down soon as. The Buduk here, actually, I've brought a few pellet out with me by chance. I can see one just underneath the surface. I think there's about a dozen left, and the 3 biggest ones are still in there. Someone recently commented on one of our old walking catfish pond videos that, you know, why you're scared of your walking catfish. If you come down here and put your toe in, you'll know why. I don't know of any other walking catfish in the world that are fed on goat remains. It's a bit like the ganoush in India, isn't it? Getting all the cremated bodies that are a little bit sticky still with bits of meat on, they get thrown in the river. Well, all the internals and bits and bobs and feet, hooves rather, and that, they go in there. So that's why there's one about as big as Toon. So I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to draining that, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how big they actually are. I mean, its head's as big as mine, and mine's head's massive. This bit down here is all filled up again from last night. Cool, we didn't half get a downpour last night. Proper dumper rain that was. So the reason that the ponds have dropped so much, certainly the first 2, because they're higher on the land. Then comes the walking catfish pond and the tilapia pond, then down to here, and then finally we've got the fence pond and the lake here. The only other bit we've got is this little spare bit here, which we're still yet to develop. I'd like to make this a proper fish trap area, and link it up via a pipe to there, so when we get the sudden floods that bring the wild fish, they can dump them straight in here, and then close the pipe, and then just let them grow while the water's there, and as it drops we can start harvesting them. We're doing quite well out of here at the moment, but basically I think we're getting fish that were originally in the ditch, and we've been catching a few fish that got out of the lake. Right, so the lake, what I've been gauging it by is the mesh on the fence, which, if I remember correctly, is exactly 1 metre high. So the section down there, from there to there, that's sitting nice and flat on the shelf. So we're looking at about 90 centimetres. So there you go on there. That's 90 centimetres. So it's, how many we got? We've got three or 4. No, probably 80 centimetres, 2, 4 to there. And that's just to get the water the same high as the shelf. I think it's just to do with gravity, you know, with the land being higher there, as it soaks into the land, it gradually makes its way into here. So as this would potentially drop, I suppose it pulls the water in from there. These are dropping quite quickly now. Is this the new normal height of the lake now that we've had a proper monsoon? I don't know. It's not easy to tell. You can see it's not budging. I mean, the fish bloody love it. And at the moment, I don't know whether you can see it, between the gates there's a small shoal of Java barb, and they're in the grass. I don't know whether you can see the water moving now. Oh, what is that? I don't know what that was. It's about 1.5 foot long though, so it's not a Java barb. Yeah, at the edge of the gate that's sticking out there, there's these bugs on the surface of the water, and the barbs like to come up and pick them off. So they hang around here all the time, and then night time you'll see climbing perch in here by torchlight, and some snakehead. I've only seen one bachador, one of the giant snakehead that are put in here. So I don't know. I mean, it's like a needle in a haystack, isn't it? But at least we know we've got one in there. That bloody fish again. What is it? We have caught a couple of, I don't know whether they're knife fish or clownfish, featherbacks. I'm not sure. One of you guys will know. I put a picture of it on one of the ones that I got on Facebook, and we've got some different ideas. It's not a bagai, which is what we bought and we've got in the Mekong pond. It's not that. I think they've got the spots on. This hasn't got any spots. It's all silver. So I don't know. I'll pop it up on the screen and let us know. Only let us know if you're 100% sure, guys. None of this. I think it's a thingy, but I might be wrong. It's no help to me, is it? But like the bagai, they're mainly used for making fish cakes and fish balls with. Incredibly bony. They are predatory fish. It's not a problem, is it? Right, let's throw a few pellets in, see what's going on. I haven't put any pellet in for about 4 days, so what I might do is just dump a whole cupful close in, see what happens. Normally you'll see the climbing perch, the wild fish that are in here, come out of the hyacinth and the grass on the shelf here. They stay very, very close to the edge, and then you seem to get the Java barb, and then it's the pacu, and the pacu and the tilapia, and then further out you get all the small sawai that are still left in here. See very, very few walking catfish. Anyway, enough blah de blah. There's the sawai coming up. See the odd pacu in there now. That's the flash with the flash of orange you see now and again. They're growing faster than the sawai are. Yeah, it's clearing quite a lot. We're getting a lot of birds preying on the small fish. Not a lot we can do about it. Just seen one of those favourite barbs of mine. It's silver with the red fins. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I'm pretty sure it's not a jungle perch. Oh, that's the gourami just come up. No sign of the pacu. The big pacu, I mean. A couple of Java barb turning up now. They may be thinking, Leigh, you put too many sawai in here, mate. I was going to come here fishing, but I don't want to be sat here catching sawai all day. These are like a temporary fish. What I mean is, these will be caught and eaten by me. Toon's not really into them. But other people that come fishing here, the sawai will be available to purchase at a reasonable price. So, you know, you catch it, you can take it. Once they start getting to sort of like over a kg and that, we'll start putting them on the table. I mean, they cost less than $1 each anyway, so yeah, and then that'll make room for the other fish to grow. Be the same for the pacu as well. If we have too many pacu, and they'll be out. I mean, we both eat pacu, they're good eating. You might think, well, I'm a fisherman, I don't like people bloody eating the fish. I'm sabai or sanuk, you know, you just like to fish for fun. That's fair, but you know, until the fish get big, we need a bit of a revenue stream from the lake. So yeah, we'll be eating them, as I say, selling some, and Toon's mum will be making salt sour fish and fermented fish as well. So as the lake matures and the fish get bigger and bigger, then we'll start taking more and more fish out and then leave more room for the other ones to grow. Right, let's go and have a walk across here. You can see our boardwalk. Oh dear. That's nice. It's clearing nicely now. That's why it's quite nice coming out at night time and just walking around here. Not actually in the lake. I'm not that brave walking in here at night time. But round the edge of the lake, you can see a lot of the fish. Right, if I stand on the old blocks, the stepping, oi! Balance of a cat. Right, walk on these. I won't disturb the bottom. We might be able to see some tilapia in the shallows, and when I say shallow, about 2 inches of water. Sometimes they're like half the body's in and half the body's out, and I think they're, whoa, oh, oi. For fuck's sake. Whatever, I mean, yeah, I think they're taking care of their young in the shallows. Yeah, I can just see one down here. They're not monosex tilapia. We thought we had bought monosex ones. It was a bloke in a car just driving around the villages. So never mind. So they don't grow as big as, tend to grow as big as the monosex ones. Right, and then throughout the day, this is like a nursery. There's like hundreds of baby fish just shooting around here. So they could be anything from any sort of barb to tilapia. They're definitely not mudfish or snakehead. They're not climbing perch or gouramis. So, I mean, I don't mind those. They're still good to eat. The snails have got loads of stuff to eat. There's snails all over the place. I think that's another reason why there's so many birds about. But you can see our Lucina table for the goats. It's still underwater. I mean, the hyacinth it's moved quite a bit, and it's growing very, very well. It's growing on all the goat muck underneath, I think. Yeah, I suppose, I don't know if the manure will help the ecology of the lake or not. I don't know. I presume it would. I mean, a lot of people put decomposed manure into the bottom of a lake when they first fill it with water, get the zooplankton, the algae growth going. So yeah, it's probably helping. There's a lot of biochar out here as well, so that'll be going into the lake. And I know those of you who keep koi, you may well have a bag of activated charcoal dangling in your koi pond. I don't know, but yeah, apparently charcoal's very good for that. Very, very soft. So the shelf all the way round, where you see these sort of like sticky up bits of weed and grass. So we've got about 80 centimetres of water there, and then a drop off to, well, at the moment it'll be about 4.5 metres. So it's a nice depth. We're still undecided what we're going to do. We need to decide what we're doing with the goats. You know, whether we're going to persist with this and make some modifications, you know, as far as raising the land, you know, access road to the house. The real issue that I think we've got is underneath the house flooded. So, you know, if this is the new height, and we put soil underneath there, we only just left enough room for us to get under and clean it anyway. So if we put a couple of foot of soil underneath there, we can't get under there to clean it. And I know we do, it's not a deep litter system, but we do biochar underneath there. But we still need to get in there and clean it out. what I don't want to be doing is running 2 goat houses. I mean, we had 2, currently got 2, and it's all right for having the small ones up there and just like that. I mean, we had it revamped, but it didn't cost us anything apart from a bloke coming for 3 or 4 days. A couple of blokes coming for 3 or 4 days. We already had all the materials for it. You know, so it's all right for that, but it's not big enough for all this lot. See, this is a nice high point on the lake. That was one of the highest bits. You see, it's now that the water's quite high, you can see that it's a little bit up and down. But over the far side there, just to the left of the outside loo, which is too low. Strange that. I did say when Toon was organising it with the lads, but hey ho. That bit there is way too low. That's the lowest point. That's where it is about 2 foot deep coming over. So that's going to get built up regardless. But nowhere else flooded. But it was just about to flood everywhere else round. Now I don't think it's financially possible. I'm pretty sure it's not, to fence the whole thing. I don't know how it comes across on the video how big this is, but when the shelf gets flooded, it's a bloody big lake. You know, I know we joke it's the goat moat, but it's proper sized lake. You know, to the bit over there and the bit over here, most people can't cast to the other side. Yeah, it's a fair old chuck. So, you know, it's a long way round to get a fair, and it wouldn't be cheap fencing. Okay, we've got a load of posts that we can repurpose, but the fencing itself, it would have to be like 1 at the most 2-inch mesh and 1 metre high, and God knows how many hundreds and hundreds of metres we'd need of that. So it'd be far cheaper to get Macro Man in. And I know I've got a bit of a bromance going with the fella, but you know, the amount of soil that he can shift, if you watch some of the lake digging videos, you know, he can't half make some progress. So what I'm thinking, if we can't fence it, if we could get him to come round the outside of the lake and take nearly all the shelf out, and but only take it down about 1 metre and mound it up on top of the road. I don't know, what do you reckon? I mean, it could still flood, you know, even if we raise it 1 metre, but how far do you go? Now, this bit is never ever been underwater. Macro Man Point there. I've been saying to Toon, before the monsoon flood came, I'd like to take this out because it goes out to about there. I said, it's, you know, it's a shame, although it's a nice place to fish from here, it really does eat up this corner bit here, makes it quite narrow. So I said I'd like to take it out and then put something here as a designated fishing area. You know, but I don't know the distance there. It's got to be getting on for 80-90 metres. It's not quite a 100-metre sprint that, but I don't know, it could be. Can't measure it without swimming across there. There's a shoal or something over there, don't know what that is. So then the other decision we've got to make is, well, are we going to take the shelf out, or most of the shelf out, on the actual island itself? Yeah, we need to get soil from somewhere to make the island higher, regardless of what we're going to do with this. I mean, there's a possibility that we could take all the shelf out and some of this main bit here, and just have like 1 or 2 islands on here, just solely for fishing, and keep the goats near the house. I really don't know. You know, if you start taking this middle bit out here and just launching the soil both sides, that would raise up the goat house, the land around the goat house, and it'll raise up the land here for people to fish from. And then, you know, you can either reach it by boat, or we could leave like a very narrow raised pathway so that you can access these sort of like secluded areas. I don't know, it would look proper mint. Just want to get it right. What's going to be right for us and right for the goats? I mean, the possibilities are, I wouldn't say they're endless, but we've got a huge opportunity here for the next move that we make to make something fantastic. I mean, I think it's pretty good at the minute, but it could be something absolutely special. I mean, if you look near the bog, so at the moment we have got an extra island there. I mean, all that's underwater, right to the side of the loo there, but that's only about 3 foot deep, 2 foot deep. So in a dry season or prolonged dry season, I mean, that possibly would all dry out now. But if we took it down, say, a metre and all this out, then you've got a proper island. And yeah, I think, you know, like here as well, you could leave that as a standalone island. Macroman Point could be an island. We could just have it so you get a bloody boat and you go out to your islands. The only problem doing it that way, if you don't have an access way to them other than a boat, is toilet facilities are here and back at the house. So that might be a bit of an issue. Don't mind you having a wee in the banana trees or something, but you know, you can't do a number 2 on Toon's papayas or anything like that. Right, let's have a look at the scary stuff. I tell you what, it was a real weird feeling coming back out here for the first couple of times. I've been coming out and clearing up a little bit, not a lot. I haven't really had much time, but yeah, if you imagine this was all underwater. So I've cleared this end. Yeah, it's drying out slowly, but you can see around here it's still sodden. So that's, again, if this is the new normal, I mean, I know for sure it's going to drop more in the dry season, but I don't know, as the land becomes more hydrated, I think the water levels are going to stay a little bit more consistent than they have done. So yeah, it's really too close. If you start putting soil up against here, you're going to have floors on the inside lower than on the outside. Oh, I don't know, it's not bloody right, is it? But you can see the issue. My giant Lucina pile was underwater, believe that. So my biochar world record, my biochar cone pit world record attempt is very much on hold. But what I have got earmarked for this is something I think is quite ingenious. Is fishing areas. They're going to have floating hyacinth beds either side of them, and some of them are going to have like this sort of stuff underneath, but have what would I say, sort of like, I don't know, eucalyptus poles stopping the big fish getting under, and then you've got a whole mash of this underneath your hyacinth for all the baby stuff, all the fry and that to hide in. So yeah, I think that would be quite good. A lot of surface area for stuff to grow on. Oh, I can't walk through this. This is howling. You can imagine. Well, this is what it's like. It's just washed all the goat shit and well, not all of it. It's in there and it's just become a solid mass. I've been coming over here now and again and digging some out, putting it on the veg and the trees and stuff. But right, let's have a look in here, eh? The old mozzie net, bit of a chocolate teapot at the minute. You can see I was just grabbing everything, trying to keep access open to the house. The water was up to here, so it still had a fair way to go, but of course the goats were stranded, so we had to get them out in the end. Bloody spiders all over the place. So it's such a shame. In a minute, it's a flipping brilliant structure, really solid. You know, I wouldn't say it would pass any building regulations back in the UK, but it's, you know, for a Thai build, where the guys were pretty much just left to get on with it. I mean, it's been brilliant. I mean, since the initial build, we changed this setup so we could incorporate the mosquito netting. I mean, up until this year, we hadn't had a real proper monsoon, and just by putting smoke out and a few mozzie sticks was all right. But once the rains came here for proper, the amount of mozzies was terrible. So we moved the steps inside, and then Toon was making a little smoke fire in there, and just keep the mozzies on the outside and keep the temperature up in here. And the goats were so content in here. It was really good. So I don't know. I really don't know. There's no way of taking it down. You know, you could say, well, just take it down and put it near your house, then the goats are never going to get flooded. Very interested to hear your thoughts and ideas, guys. You know, I mean, whether it's financially possible or not for us to get by with a smaller head of goats and just keep them at the house, I don't know. But then it's, you know, it's less worry in the monsoon season. I don't know. I really don't know. I know a lot of you guys are really into your fishing, and you know, this has got potential to be a really good venue. What I think would be a really good venue for as a mixed fishery with some beauties in here as well. You know, is it a possibility to make this, you know, like a fishing lodge, mozzie nets over beds and stuff? I don't know. It's the sort of thing that me and Toon would really like to go and fish and spend 3 or 4 days at. You know, just being left on an island and not fending for yourselves, but because you can always go back over there and have a shower or whatever. But you know, you got toilet here, you can have a shower here, you could cook here. You know, it's, I don't know, just thinking out loud. We can't do anything at the moment anyway, unless we dug a channel, put a pipe in and drained the water off, to speed up, you know, the drying process, and then get Macro Man back. But I quite like it that our hands are tied at the moment, and you know, the water levels are too high to do anything. So definitely Macro Man's coming back. I'm sure we can't fence it all. I mean, how can I, let me pan round, give you an idea of the distance. What I'll do is try and guesstimate the distance, and I'll do it in 100-metre portions because that's the distance I used to race. So I would say from there to there is 100, 200, 300, 400, say 500 to the posts over there, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000 metres. You've got to have a post every 3 metres, I'd say. 300 posts, 333 posts. We ain't got that many. And then the chain link fence, I can't remember what we paid now, because we didn't use much of it because it was so expensive. We used the bigger size for the goats. You don't need really, you know, like a, well, we call it chicken wire fence, but you know, you don't need the small stuff for goats, but you do for the fish. It's not going to happen. Bloody fish down here. Don't know if make you jump sometimes. And what you get sometimes is fish hiding in the holes of the blocks. You see on the side, one side of these blocks, they got holes in there. And some of the small fish squeeze themselves in there. Then when you're just about to stand on them, one shoots out. Whoa, slippy. There's quite a bit of algae on these now. I always enjoy reading the comment section on the videos. As you know, it's probably better than the videos themselves sometimes. But I'm particularly interested this time to see what your thoughts are on this. Because, you know, we all have different ideas, don't we? And what might seem a good idea to me, you might think flipping rubbish, mate, jog on, no chance. Or you might think of something that I haven't thought of, or Toon hasn't thought of. You might have something that's more cost effective. I don't know. What, you know, if you're an angler, what would you think? You know, if you were thinking, right, if that was my place and I had a limited budget now, I mean the fish are in there and in these ponds, it's just a matter of growing them a bit bigger and getting a few of the species. I mean, we might, when the dry season's almost at an end, we're going to take the big ones out of there, and we may buy a couple of beauties, you know, of various species, just to pop in here to, you know, for your money shot. Make sure you got something well over £100 or £200 or whatever. But yeah, you know, what do you like in a fishing venue? You know, do you like just getting the big stuff? Do you like not knowing what you're going to hook when your float slides under, or your buzzers bleep into action? You know, do you want your fishing quite easy, lots of bites, or are you quite prepared to sit there all day and just wait for that one big monster? You know, are you into your predatory fishing? You know, I mean, my two favourite predatory fish are the giant snakehead and the chow prior catfish. You know, so both are going to be in here. Does it interest you that, you know, certain species you would be able to catch, clean and cook, you know, by the side of the lake or on an island? Does an island, you know, appeal to you, or would you prefer to fish from a designated, you know, raised platform, swim, and, you know, and you can just shout Toon and she'll bring you a cocktail out or something like that? Is it even viable or worth the effort converting a goat house into a fishing lodge? For me, I'd have a week, you know, if the fishing was good enough. Put me on an island with the missus, and, she's always going to catch enough for me to eat, and she's always going to cook for me. So yeah, as long as I got my mozzie lotion for fishing in the evenings, and I got a mozzie net over the bed, and, you know, I can, well, we've got a solar system out here, you know, we can plug fridges in, and got lights, you could charge your phone, that sort of thing. Oh, is it, or is it not? Do you want more sort of like luxury accommodation? You know, I mean, if you were going to go somewhere like Jurassic or Gillam's, or where else? What's the other one? I think exotic Thailand fishing or something like that. You know, you're paying absolute top dollar, but you are getting the lap of luxury. You know, I mean, these places are just bonkers. I'll put links to them in the description. You know, but I mean, don't get me wrong, you do pay for it, but you are getting one hell of a service and one hell of a venue, brilliant accommodation, and, well, not all of them have accommodation, but, you know, you are spoilt rotten at these places by the looks of things. Or do you enjoy those sorts of things, but sometimes you want something a little bit more rough and ready, and then you can, you know, you put your rods away at night, and then you can come back and have a couple of beers and blast a few tunes out of the karaoke with me and the missus? I don't know. I mean, look at it. I mean, what always struck me before we had this dug was a lot of fisheries that I've been to in Thailand with Toon. Oh, what is that? It's a strange one. I think it's one of those featherback knife fish things just come up. See if it'll come up again. Yeah, what struck me is a lot of fisheries are just square. It's just come up again. Why is that? It's not Mekong and it's not fThai. It's definitely not walking catfish or snake. I really do think it's those whatever species of knife fish. I think we've got quite a few come in here. I think they're chasing shrimp or fry on the top. Should have bought me bloody rod, didn't it? Mind you, they were an awful fight. They just, when you first hook them, they jump out the water like a bloody tarpon, and then when you start reeling them in, they just skim across the surface. You just bloody drag them in. I suppose if you're going to fish a whip with a 1.5 pound bottom on a size 20, they might fight a bit better, but I'll just bloody drag them in. Where was I? Yeah, I mean these square venues with no features. I mean, I can understand, you know, the venues that have got these huge fish like 300 or 400 pound fish, and certainly when you're talking about Mekongs, you know, they have you all over the lake, so I can understand why they don't have islands and nooks and crannies that, you know, a fish might have you around, or, you know, into snags and things like that. But to me, that's what really excites me with fishing, you know, throwing out to an island. You know, this bay, I always thought this would make a cracking swim here. A proper platform down here with hyacinth either side, and then throwing over to that bay area there, and then you've got the old, if you watch the videos of this being dug, we've got the glory hole down here. Well, don't use my finger as a gauge there, can't tell you exactly where it is, it's a secret. I like that sort of thing. It's not sort of, you know, just a huge expanse of water and you're just firing a giant tennis ball size ball of ground bait on a swim feeder, you know, into the horizon. There's a few features in here, and we could make a lot more. Sort of like 50-60 pound fish. I'm not saying you can hook and hold them, but you know, you could, depending on if you got the right gear or not, you can bully fish away from snags, can't you? It's part of the challenge, isn't it? You can't give an inch of line to something that's, you know, fished up hard against an island or something like that. They might have you around the island. That's how, when I was on the carp syndicate, that was the sort of thing, you know, if you wanted the best chance to catch the best carp, they were generally in the areas that were hardest to get them out of. This is, well, I nicknamed it the Dire, as in Dire Straits, because it was just a straight bit of water. But you can see how far the shelf comes out there. You can't really see it on this side apart from this little bit here. And what we had it dug sloping like everywhere else, but the last metre we had it straight down like that. And a lot of the fThai seem to hang around here. Seem to get more predatory fish in this corner because it's shallow, uneven ground on this bit. What about the possibility of this bit here is probably the narrowest bit on the island? Just take all that bit out, or leave a little narrow path. What I might do is get my arse on Google Earth and see if they've updated the image since we had the second phase of the lake dug. Because the first image is just like a skinny strip all the way around before Macro Man came in.